Hey everyone, and welcome to Board Game Revolution's interview series. Today I have an extremely special guest with me. Before I say who it is, you may have seen their campaign. Their first one launched in 2017, and I'm going to show you their expansion that's coming out this year with this video right now.
You like being evil. You like being a necromancer. You want to summon demons and send them out to do your bidding. Crush your enemies with the mighty evil creatures of darkness. Demon of blood. Demon of bone. Demon of decay. And demon of mist. But something disturbs me. I feel weak. Dawn will soon be upon us. The Archbishop and his forces of light are coming to claim the land. Necromancers stand together against purity. Raise your armies, summon your demons, and prepare for war. Dawn and Demons is an expansion for Rise of the Necromancers that features 4 highly detailed demon minis and the opportunity to summon and command them. Dawn and Demons also offers cooperative and single-player game mode, where the players work together, trying to fight off the invasion of the forces of light, the Enlightenment, and the Inquisition. Can you recover the lost arts of demonology? Bind and command demons? But time is precious. Evil must take hold of the lands before dawn. Before the Archbishop purges evil. To win the game, all players need to place all 13 Dominion counters or defeat the Archbishop. Join us on Kickstarter today, and we promise you a very evil expansion.
And now, if that video doesn't get you excited, let me just introduce my guest who is with me today. He started with his friend Sword Loser Games, and that is Christoffer Kyst. I believe, Christopher, did I say that right?
Right enough. That's good. Thank you.
Christopher, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for thank you for taking the time to join us on our interview series. I know you and Thor is doing extremely busy right now with your Kickstarter campaign. Tell us first off, before we actually talk about your campaign, a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 43 years old soon, anyway, and I've got 2 kids and a wife. We live in Copenhagen. My wife is American, and I've always played board games, and so I got into board game designing with some of my friends. So that's the short story, anyway.
So, what games really got you started back into playing board games? When you were, starting out before you even started designing?
Well, I mean, you always play games as a kid. I always did anyway. And I played a lot of chess when I was a kid, but that's something completely different, I guess. And then later, when I got older, I got into role-playing games. Still continued with the chess, and then the strategy board games came in, and now this is a big merger of everything. And my partner Torbjørn, he is a big part of this design as well, and he's even more into the RPG and the Warhammer stuff than I am. So we're a good mix, I would say. He brings the crazy, and I bring some of the other stuff.
That's right. Someone has to keep him in check, right? And that's you.
Yeah, and somebody has to keep me in check, and that's him. So that's great.
Well, that sounds like a great duo that you guys have. What games really brought you two together when you first met each other?
Well, it wasn't games that brought us together. We worked together in a kids club, and then we began playing games together as well. But we had both played games before, so with various people. So
All right, so moving forward, what I do want to know about you and is it Thorborn?
yeah, Torbjörn.
Thorbjorn. Sorry,
Yes,
guys.
Yeah, Thor
Forgive
Bear.
me for messing up his name. I'm not that good. I'm sorry. Anyway, but what I want to know from you guys, this is an area control game that you guys have created. Was there area control games that you kind of took from that made you like, this is how I want to design my first game?
Well, it has an element of area control, definitely, and I would also call it a worker placement game, but on a map in some way. So it's kind of a merger of the two, I think, with some adventure stuff in there. So I think we've done a bit of a fusion, and that has also led to a lot of confusion about how to categorize our game, because yes, there's a territorial element, but there's also this character development, and then there's this worker placement element. But the territory element, yeah, it's so difficult to say what has given you inspiration. I've played a lot of Axis and Allies in my early days. That's a straightforward territorial game, I guess, but I don't know if that's where it came from, the territorial element. Potentially. But the territorial element is, I think, maybe the most basic element in the game. So the more interesting parts, I think, is the character and the adventure stuff as well, and then the resource management elements, of course. But
if for those who've watched my video, I actually made the suggestion that this is a great gateway game into the area control, department. And I know it's not a major part of your game, but for those who are unaware of area control, it's a great way to as an introduction. Was that then what from the previous question be, really what you guys wanted to do was like, we do want this territorial control element, but we don't want it so complex like Axis and Allies or Tyrants of the Underdark, where that's all the game was.
I think we really wanted a game with a lot of flavor as well as a strategy board game. So how can you make a Necromancer without a Necromancer wanting to control and dominate the world? So it's very straightforward that there has to be an area control element in the game. And so you're a Necromancer who goes out there and you place your dominion markers on the map. So that's one of the elements that we wanted from the territorial bit there. The will to dominate has to be, the tenant that we're going for here. But that's, as I say, it's only one of the tenants in this. Yeah.
Well, because another one is the RPG element. The character building.
Yes.
And was that something where you guys like? Did you play a lot of D&D like beforehand? That kind of molded that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've played different role-playing games, both of us, and that character building element, I think, is important. I mean, we had different goals we were aiming for when we made this game. We wanted a fast-paced game, so that there isn't a lot of downtime, but we still wanted some depth, and we wanted some depth in the world we created, so that there was some flavor in it, and not. Sometimes you meet these perfectly balanced strategy games that doesn't have enough story in them, and we wanted to merge those things, and I think we managed to do that. But that's one of our main goals. And then we also wanted suspense. We wanted every single action to matter, but we wanted them to be fast paced. So there's also an element of luck in there and chance in there that some of the control freak board gamers, which I'm one of those, whereas Torbjörn, he is more into the suspense and the chance element, but we wanted the benefits of both. We wanted the best player to be most likely to win, but we also wanted the suspense of the drawing the card or rolling the die and seeing what happens, so that it's fun. It's not everything that's in your control.
Right. And I think, like, for me, when I'm playing your game, that's one of the things that kind of piques my interest is the fact that, like, I'm with you. I love being able to control the possibilities and the outcomes. I don't like leaving too much stuff up to chance. So when I can go and upgrade my character just by going to, like, the library, to get the spells, or the blacksmith to get, and then, like, oh, I found my combination of, these unique blood items, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to go and start
That's a wonderful.
murdering people.
Yes. Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling, and it betters your odds. But
Right.
you can never be certain, and that's life too. I mean, and that's we wanted that. We have a lot of feedback on the dungeon stuff. People saying, "Oh, I can't be safe in the dungeon. It's too dangerous to go down there." But I mean, that's the point of going into a dungeon. I mean, if it's safe to go there, then then don't go there. Then keep going to the library.
Right. So before we go further and deeper into Rise of the
Yes,
Necromancer
I'm
and then the
sorry.
expansion, let's actually, from your point of view, I want you to explain to people what Rise of the Necromancer is and how it's played.
Well, Rise of the Necromancers is, as I said before, a merger between a territorial game and a character development game. You build up a main character, an evil wizard, a necromancer that can raise the undead and take control of the world. And you win the game by placing 13 Dominion counters. The first player to place his or her 13th Dominion counter wins the game. And you either do that on the board by taking over cities or managing to complete the quest in a dungeon, or becoming academy headmaster of one of the 4 schools or academies of necromancy. And those are the Dominion counters you can place on the game board, and that's territorial. And the other players, they can knock your pieces off the board again and hinder your way of becoming the Necromancer King. But then you also have your character development card, or the player board, that represents my wisdom and my ability to cast spells, and I've crafted some items. And the stronger item combinations and spell combinations I have, the more victory points, you could say, Dominion counters I've placed on my player board, and no one can touch those, so they can't be knocked off the board. So they're safe, and
Right.
That's a very, very short story, right? And then there's a lot of you build up the synergies between the items and spells and your main character, who's your necromancer, and then you also have a choice of 3 apprentices. And finding the right combination between necromancer and apprentices and items and spells and minions is what the game is about.
Right.
And then place those Dominion counters, those victory points, get them down.
Right. And so one of the things I really enjoy about your game is there's so many different ways to play it that you don't have to summon minions. You really don't. If you find your synergies in your spells and weapons and your apprentice, you're then, you're kind of golden. But at the same time, you can pick up a necromancer from the random choice that they specialize in minions. And then you have an apprentice that helps build on that. And then it's like you just have a minion army all over the place. So why did you choose to do it that way, where it's like, okay, we don't want to set it where there's only one possible way to win?
But we wanted this open world. I mean, back to us wanting to create a world with depth, and we want there to be some choice for the player. Am I the academic type? Am I the control freak necromancer who just wants to play it safe and be good at spells and items and do that? Or am I the dungeon crawler type? Or am I the conqueror, just taking cities and having a vast army? We wanted that world to expand in that way, and not railroad the players through a set amount of stages as you do in a lot of games. And I think that's maybe the RPG influence here, because I'm not going to tell you what necromancer you are. that's for you to decide, and that's the character for you to develop. And that's where we see a lot of people enjoying different elements in the game. Right now, we're asking our backers, who's your favorite Necromancer? And somebody likes the bureaucrat and the slow assistant, who's like meek, evil necromancers, and somebody likes the fallen paladin, who's more of a, a fighter kind of necromancer. So to each his own, and we really like that. And then the strategy challenge in it is you start out with 3 necromancers and 3 apprentices, and then you have to make the best strategy you can to win the game, and it's a little open-ended, and that's, I think, where the good players really stand out, is to take a look at what are the other players doing, what spells are available, what items are available, and then what's my best build with the hand I have.
Right. And there's a chess element to it as well when it comes to where you're choosing to move, because especially resources can be extremely hard to get, in this game, because you can either go to the resource spot and hope that you're going to get, the resource that you want, or you can take over a city and then spend a turn to collect taxes. And, all of these are choice A versus choice B, which is very, chess-esque, where it's like, should I move here to maybe get them to move forward, and then take this to then simulate all these other possibility of movements. So was that really the inspiration behind how you wanted movement and resources to work?
There's an optional rule as well in the game, and that's that you can attack each other, which is also something that more experienced players they play with a lot. So there's 2 ways of playing the game, and so you can go onto the space of the opposing necromancers and fight them. Yes, I think the inherent logic of any territorial game is power, and 2 necromancers cannot be in the same spot at the same time. They will fight, and that's the point there in Rise of the Necromancers. Up until Dawn and Demons, where the Archbishop and his good forces arrive, and in that game you can play either player versus player or actually co-op, because even though the necromancers can't stand each other, then they really cannot stand the Archbishop and the forces of light. So
Right.
that's what the expansion is about.
Right, and that's actually what I want to get to. You guys can see the image on the bottom right hand of your screen of Dawn and Demons. Now, I have to say, I'm really excited about this. First off, we'll continue on what you were just saying about the forces of light and how you guys have now created this co-op mode. And what I find really interesting about this is how you have this 5 ticking timer that you go 5 up and then 5 back. Why? Like that's a very interesting game mechanic timer. Why
we were working on several different counters for this, and we wanted something tactile. We wanted something where when something evil happens, for instance, in Dawn and Demons, the premise is that the good guys, the Archbishop and his forces of light, are coming to the Isle of the Necromancers. And when the sun comes up, when dawn is here, the Necromancers have lost, and that's the forces of light. It's a metaphor for the forces of light coming. Whereas the Necromancers, they are obviously represent evil. And so you have these tickers, these counters, that the dawn counters, and when the sun comes up, then a good event happens. And when all the dawn counters they are removed, then the game is over. So you have to beat the Archbishop or place your 13 Dominion counters before all the counters have been removed. But if I summon a demon, this is obviously a very evil act. It's more difficult for the Archbishop to come and for the good forces to win. So then I get more time. So when I summon a demon, another evil counter is added to this ticker. And this has given us a lot of flexibility in how to control the timing element in the game. Because then we have, immediately when you start the game, you're under pressure to summon your first demon. So that something evil will happen in the world, so that the forces of good cannot come. and the good events cannot come, because we don't want enlightenment, and we don't want
Right.
the Inquisition, nor the reinforcements of the forces of light. Um, so that's we were toying with a lot of different mechanics there, and ended up with this.
Right, and I like the fact that you guys have actually two different win conditions. You know, one win condition for before the Archbishop comes out, which is total domination. And then if the Archbishop comes out, that winning condition just goes out the window. It's like, no, now you have to defeat the Archbishop.
That's correct, and that's again the chaos element that we like to introduce. You have to plan, you have to strategize, you have to be a control freak to win this game, but we don't want to make a solitary game. That's not what we want. We want suspense. We want there to that little element of chaos to push us, so that we have to adjust our little gaming strategies. All the control freaks out there. I think that's actually what brings the fun into the game. That you keep striving to control it, but then there is this chaos element that keeps knocking the legs out of you, under you, or
Right.
whatever you say.
And wouldn't is co-op? Can't you even attack each other if you wanted to?
Yes, you
Didn't
can.
I see that in there as well?
You, you,
Why?
you, it is well. There are some benefits for that. First of all, it's important to say that there are two ways of playing the Dawn and Demons game. You can play the straightforward player versus player, and then we've added the demonology element, which is there are four academies of necromancy in the base game, and this is the fifth academy that has been lost. And so this is the lost arts of demonology that is now slowly in this game being recovered as the different players are venturing into the dungeons or looking in the old libraries. They slowly find hints of demonology, and then they can summon the demons again. And this just adds like nicely as another layer to the base game. And then you just play this, and you suddenly have the opportunity to summon a very powerful demon that can function as a general, which gives you two pieces on the game board, which basically gives you two actions compared to the other players on some fronts, because the demon and the demon general, if we call him that, or can only attack. It can obviously not go into the library and read or those kinds of things. So there's that entire element, and that's also incorporated into the co-op mode, where you have to fight off the forces of light. And in that situation, sometimes it is an advantage to attack another necromancer, because his city is more important to you, because everybody needs their 13 Dominion counters. This will, of course, introduce a little dilemma into the world of the necromancers, but that's necromancers.
Yeah, I mean, for when I think about it, I think of it's like a negative sum game, really, because you're not the opponent's not really getting anything. I'm getting something, yes, but at what cost? You know, at a cost that my supposed friend is probably gonna attack me back instead of going for the objective.
If the co-op players cannot play co-op, they will lose.
Right. So the other thing I like about the demon, because you had touched on it a little bit, was how it can move on its own. Like in the base game, minions are just stuck where you leave them. So if you put your minions there and then you move your necromancer away, they're there, but they're there to defend. But
Yes.
I like the fact that now it's like, okay, I can start controlling more of this map by spreading my forces apart, because you can have minions follow your demon as well. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, but that's true. Obviously necromancer. There's no agency in the undead. The zombie does what you tell a zombie to do, and they don't act much on their own. And that's why you really want to summon the demon generals, because that basically gives you the opportunity to go into the library while your demon can conquer. And that's a major advantage, but it's also a double-edged sword, especially in player versus player, because you also have victory points tied up in your demon, because when you summon a demon, you also get like you have your player board, you have a demon board, and you can also place dominion counters on that. So when I let my demon out with my minions, other players can attack it, and if they manage to kill it, they obviously destroy my dominion counters if they kill the demon, and it gets sent back to another realm where the demons live. So it's a really strong element to have the demon general, but you also have to protect them. So it's got its pros and cons to send them out there.
Right, and it also has the cost to bring him out by killing an apprentice.
Yes, obviously, to get a demon into this world, you have to kill one of your apprentices, and that's an expensive cost. If you, unless you have an apprentice that you've set up for that purpose, which is very evil of you to do. So there is that, right? And that's also another reason why if other players come and kill your demon, you've lost your demon and the dominion counters tied up in that demon, and also you wasted an apprentice for no reason. But
Right.
it is very powerful to have a demon. And the Demon of Mist, for instance, has the ability to teleport around on the board, including with your Necromancer. So that also gives some movement advantages there. And some of the demons have higher movement than the Necromancer does. So there are some advantages there too that really adds a lot to the territorial element of the game, because there's more pieces now on the game board. It will be more constricted, and there will be more battle.
So we talked. You actually just brought up the demons, the Demon of Mist, which allows you to teleport. What does the other demons do?
Well, obviously, we have the slow-moving Demon of Decay, which when it kills someone or wins a combat, it creates a zombie. So that's a very strong demon. It's slow-moving, which is the problem with zombies to begin with, but this one can slowly build its own horde of zombies that follow it, and eventually this can be unstoppable, but slow. And movement is a very important element, because maybe I am strong enough to take down one of the very big cities, but if it takes me half the game to get there, it doesn't count that much on the victory point front. Then you have the Demon of Blood that is faster and kind of has the same ability as the Demon of Blood's of the Blood spell. It can negate an attack against itself. So it's good at fighting. It is fast, just like the Hell Knights are in the Red Knights that belong to the school or the Academy of Blood. So it can kind of ride around with those, the same pace, and is a little bit stronger and faster in that way. Then you have the Mist, the Demon of Mist, and it can teleport itself and whoever is following it to one of your Dominion counters on the board. So it kind of mimics the Mistwalk spell that's part of the Academy of Mist. And finally, you have the Demon of Bone, which is strong, just like the dragons. It's fast and it's strong, and that's it. It's just the toughest, strongest one of them. So those are the four demons that have different advantages, and they of course also count towards the Academy Headmaster position in the base game. This might be difficult for some of the viewers to follow, but that's in the base game. You also collect cards, spells, items, necromancers and apprentices, and now also demons of the same academy. So if I have a lot of zombie things in my army, I can become Academy Headmaster of Decay. And this is also worth points towards the game, and it also gives me further synergies. It gives all my zombies +1 power. So there are these four academies that play a very important role in the character building of building up the synergies of your necromancer and apprentice.
Right, and that's again another bonus to your game is the fact that while it really is synergy based, it's not one of those games such as Seasons where you need to know what the cards do to build on those synergies. No, it's just about the affinities that they are, which is really nice. While blood is going to drain people and do a lot of damage, but you have decay, which lets you I believe the last card I saw was lets you spawn 2 zombies instead of 1.
Yes,
When it
yes,
comes to minions,
yes.
and I like those little effects that you had built into it. Was that something that you wanted from the beginning, where it's like, okay, we have a story of these different types of affinities. How are we going to build items and spells around it?
We definitely wanted this back to the depth of the world and the storytelling in the world. We definitely wanted these 4 academies to have like the synergies that they also reflect the academy they belong to. For instance, the Academy of Decay is the Academy of the Zombies, so to speak. It's the green one with it's about Rudd and zombies and gross things that come up from the grave, right? And you have the zombie explosion, you have the Master of the Morgue, you have these kinds of rot-based things that are a little bit gross. Then you have the Mist Academy, which is more witches and mystery, and there's a lot of it's ghosts and mystery and witches and those kinds of things. And we wanted to build those elements into that academy. And then you have the Bone Academy, which is more classic Egypt undead style stuff. And then you have the Academy of Blood, which is blood and strength, vampire knights kind of stuff. So we tried to base our synergies and the rules on these 4 aspects or these academies. Yes, we've done a lot to do that, and now
And
we're
not
adding the
only
5th school.
right, you're adding the 5th school, and not only that, you have artwork that really elegantly depicts these affinities. And just looking at your artwork with Dawn and Demons, you guys just stepped up another level. Who was your artist, and how did you guys talk to him to get him to put your image onto your board?
Yeah, but the artist is a close friend of ours, and it is his studio, Mood Publishing, and it is another friend of ours, and the 3 of us have done this, and we're very close in the process of making these things. He's in on the game rules, and we affect the images, and a lot of the inspirations for the images comes from us, and a lot of the inspiration for the rules come from him, and those things. And he's been with us all along. So sometimes it's a little blurry to say who's illustrator and who's game designer. Torbjørn also has a lot of creative elements. So I would say that Mood Publishing is it's a blurry line between us, and I think that's a huge advantage for us because. That means the artwork is totally integrated into the rules and vice versa.
Right.
That's been a big advantage for us.
Like, I have 2 favorite Necromancers from the base game, and I unfortunately I can't say about the expansion because I haven't seen it yet. But one is the Hag,
Yes.
on the Mist. Like, she's just creepy, and then you have the bloated Necromancer for Decay.
Yes.
And that one's it's utterly disgusting, but it looks amazing. Like, what about you? What's your favorite art and cards when it comes to Necromancers?
I have to say I go for the I go for the underplayed ones, and I think the bureaucrat is my favorite because he is evil in a more subtle way than all the other necromancers. It is just this evil, boring bureaucrat that's just managing the cities, and he's pathetic and he can't fight. He's good at raising taxes, and that's it. That's what he can do. I like that, and then I also like the slow apprentice, who is an apprentice that basically he's free to play, which is a big advantage. And then when he dies, you get a lesser corpse because you basically just take his corpse when he's dead, and then you raise your first zombie. And it's those kinds of elements that I like the most. That then you take, the dumbwitted apprentice from the village, and you go into the first dungeon, and he's lost in the pit trap. Well, then you have your first zombie. That's the gritty necromancer element that I like.
And one thing I've noticed, and this is a very tertiary effect of your game, like when I play it with my friends that we used to D&D a lot, we will actually like kind of act out like, oh, if like the slow apprentice, like, oh, I'm just dragging his body behind me, I let him die. Like we went to a dungeon, I was like, go buddy, go.
Exactly.
And it just makes another element of the game, fun, because you feel like you can RP it when it's really like the story's already given.
Yeah, we the characters mean a lot, and it takes a lot. And now the first stretch goal has been reached in Dawn and Demons, and now the next stretch goal coming up that I hope we reach is the Maimed King and the Cursed Jester. So there's good things to come on that front as well, I tell you. And there's some really cool sketches coming out right now. Those we've uploaded them on the latest update on our campaign. So we hope to follow suit with the interesting characters in the expansion as well.
Right. So you guys have already funded. You're at 112% as of Friday, and this is airing on Monday, so you're going to be a lot higher.
Hopefully, yes.
From there. So you have the Main King, that is coming soon as a second. What are other stretch goals that you can give our Board Game Revolution viewers that hasn't been announced yet?
Well, the first stretch goal that is out is the mini for the Archbishop, and that's already out. It's another miniature that comes into the expansion for free on top of the 4 demons. We have 4 really cool demon minis already, and then that's the first one, and then begins a series of content elements, and it is this. The next 4 stretch goals is more cards and more content to the game. It's more items, it's more characters, and it's more spells, and then it's a mystery card that we will not reveal yet.
Yet. All right, so you hear that, guys? You have more content coming and a mystery card coming. So let's get them funded so we can find out what this mystery is.
And the highest stretch goal is even more minis, but it is a high stretch goal because of the production cost of that. So
how many days do you have left?
We have 15 days left, I believe, as of right now.
All right. So 15 days left, and you're already funded, but you have some amazing stretch goals coming up. So we have the Main King, more content, secret cards, more minis, so we can only hope to get you even further than that. What other things are you excited about this campaign, and also looking forward for Rise of the Necromancers?
I think first, this is our second campaign, and I'm really happy about the fan base that we've got, or the base of backers we've got. And first time around, people didn't know what the game was about, and it was difficult to control the campaign. Is this a miniature game? Is it a territorial game? Is it a RPG game? And that it made a lot of difficult comments in the thread for us to control, because we don't fit in the box as neatly as everybody wants to categorize it. So it's been really nice now that we have our game out there, and we have some backers that like our first game, and we've really learned a lot from the feedback from the backers. It's difficult to we're a small company, and we're only in contact with the gamers that we met at Essen and then in Germany, and then we're from Denmark, the people we meet here. But there's a lot of American backers, and it's really interesting to hear what they think about the game. So that has been great, and we've had a very good tone in the campaign. I think some really good input from a lot of the backers, and that That's been really nice, and there's some input that might even go into the rules as well, when we have a little time to think and not answer a bazillion emails at the same time.
Yes, I mean, you guys have 15 days left. I'm sure after your campaign's done, you're gonna take a week off and just be like, okay, we're not gonna
Oh,
answer anything, and then move on. I've heard that so
well,
many times.
that's when production starts. So Mood Publishing is ramping up to do the all the artwork and those things immediately after the campaign.
Well,
So
that's amazing to hear.
yeah, it's so we that's that, and then it's also nice that we have the first time around. It was hard work getting the production setup going. This is the first time we've produced a game, and we've done it all. We have contact with What's Games in China. We have to ship stuff across the seas for the first time. We have to get the certifications that everything's not poisonous, and all these things have to be in order. And that's really nice. We're on top of all that this time around, and have some solid partners to deliver with. So
All right.
that's
So talking
positive.
about distribution, because you just brought it up, one of the things I want to ask you, especially with December hitting, and now the new tariffs supposedly going to hit for board games for the United States. How is that affecting you, or is that something you're planning for, or is it just like we have to wait and see?
There's a risk in our budget, and that's it. Because who knows
Right.
what's gonna hit us? I mean, I tried to make some calculations. I don't think I can make the right ones. Everything's changing all the time with the trade war. So
Right.
that's that. That's the element of chaos that's in the real life as well.
Right. Very true. All right. So we're going to start. I'm going to ask you a question. This is a brand new thing that we've started with board game interview series. It is what's in the future. And what we're doing is asking game designers what they think the future of gaming is going and where would they like it to see it go. So for you, Christopher, where is the future of board games for you and where would you like it to go?
I really like this platform, the Kickstarter platform, with direct contact between the board gamer and the people making the games, the designers. This makes us able to reach out and get feedback from board gamers, and it makes it possible for us to make the games that we want to make. Our game, it's difficult to get in with the big game companies, and I think that's great, and I think there'll be more of that in the future. I think all these all these structures that makes it possible for you to deliver directly to the board gamer makes it possible for us to keep the price low, even though we don't make that many copies. So it's possible for us startups. So I think there'll be even more startups like us, and there already is. So I think there'll be even more games, different games out there. This, of course, makes it very difficult for us to break through and be noticed. And that's where the community grows as well, because I believe that quality will show eventually, especially if it's fan-based marketing, because people will say what they like, and they will listen to the people that give advice that they can trust for the next time around. So I think what we see now will continue to happen. That's on the industry front, I guess. But I don't know if that's where you were heading
Yeah,
with your
I
with your
mean
question.
that's a great answer to the question. The other thing, the second part of the question is where would you like to see board games to go from here, that where it's not at so far.
I think it's I mean, this is again back to the business side of it. I think it's difficult to breach the markets when you're not there, and that I hope that gets even more open ended than it is now. Even on Kickstarter, it's difficult to find us, even though we think it's a big success. But then that's how it is. We'll keep fighting, and I think that's just how it works. And but yeah, the more I think more of if there were more structures where quality flows to the top, I think there comes a lot of games out there that are not good, and I think there's a lot of good games out there that don't get the credit that they deserve, and that's difficult. How do we get there where it's the good games that make it, or the popular games that make it? And I think that's through the fan base. So
Right.
the more fan based reviews there is, that's where it comes from, I think.
Okay. And I know there's a new platform that's trying to really get out there. I think it's called like Game Traders. I can't remember the specific name. I have to look it up, but it's actually a board game specific crowdfunding platform. And I think from what you were talking about, that actually goes inside of, getting the notice out there for, especially for smaller games or smaller publishers, because with Kickstarter everything goes under board games, like card games,
Yes.
trivia games, and it can get swamped. Like miniatures, just miniatures goes into board games, but
Yeah.
having it where it's actually broken up to different platforms, where it's like, okay, you have a search, you want to search for specifically like area control or worker placement, and then seeing all the games that are on this platform that you can crowdsource from gives more accessibility to not only you, the designer, but also us, the customer.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't have much to add. So it's that.
All right. Well, Christoffer, thank you for answering the future of gaming. I'm going to give you, this is your bit where you can tell us anything you want to do your last minute pitching, as well as any words or comments you want to say to your current backers.
Well, that's a difficult bit. I really think you should go in and check our campaign, and some of the things we link to, where you can see other board gamers' review of our games, so you take their word for it, and then check out our video. And if you want a fast-paced, funny game with enough depth strategy-wise to keep you entertained, I think you should try out Rise of the Necromancers. It takes an hour to an hour and a half when people are experienced playing it. First game takes a little longer, and I find that the moment people have played it once, they begin really lifting their level and playing a really good game. And there's very little downtime. And some people have said it's a great beer and chips game, and I was a little annoyed with that. But then I realized how much people laugh while they play it, even though they're focused and feel challenged. So I've come to take that as a compliment for the game, and I think we balanced a good. We made a good balance between the lightness and the fast pace, and then the somewhat heavy strategy elements, and then the fun bits in the different characters and the character building, where you get into some silly situations with you and your slow apprentice going into a dungeon and he falls into a pit trap, or he gets eaten by a demon, or maybe he beats the demon and nobody saw the slow assistant ending up doing that, or whatever may happen. There's a lot of funny narratives where people laugh a lot. So try it out. And then to all the backers, I think the work they've done helping us has been amazing, both on raising awareness about the game, and then giving us input on different rules and elements in the game. So keep it up and keep helping us. That's all I can say, except have an evil day.
All right, Christoffer, thank you so much for joining us on our board game interview series for Board Game Revolution. Have a great day and good luck with the rest of your campaign.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Christoffer Kyst from Sword Loser Games. That's Rise of the Necromancers, Dawn and Demons on Kickstarter right now. You only have about 10 days left. Actually, no, 15 days left. When this airs, it'll be 13. But make sure to check it out. You only have a limited time to go and back. If you have any questions, you can put a comment down into our comment sections. We'll get it answered either by me, by Christoffer, or his team. And you can go to their Facebook page as well, which is Rise of the Necromancers, or again, Kickstarter. My name is Marco. That was Christoffer. You guys have a great night. We'll see you later.